Welcome, my constant reader friends. I'm Tad, and this is Tad Reads Books and Stuff. Today, we're just going to do an update for the last week of May, and where I stand in my reading progress, and what my TBR is going to be for June. So let's get started real quick. What am I currently reading? I'm still reading From Hell. That's going pretty slowly, but I'm taking my time with it. Really cool story. Everybody knows Alan Moore, Eddie Campbell. It is a little hard to read because of the British Cockney language used. A lot of slang. It's pretty cool though. The artwork, again, we've talked about this. The artwork is stylistic, but I'll agree with everybody else. It's not good. But aside from that, the story is awesome. So we're continuing to read that. And what else do we have? I have started to read The Kaiju Preservation Society by John Scalzi. John Scalzi is one of those writers that I have several of his books, and I have not really read any of them. Do you ever buy these people? You hear about the stories, you want them, you buy the books, and then they just sit on your shelves for whatever reason. That's John Scalzi for me. But I am going to go ahead and read the Kaiju Preservation Society. I actually started listening to it just the other day, so I'm a little bit into it. Will Wheaton is the narrator in this. It's not a very long book. It's only about 8 hours, so I should be able to finish this real quickly. I guess I'm kind of caving in because so many people on BookTube have been reading this recently. I do really want to read Red Shirts, which I have on my Kindle. Oh, talking about Kindle. Geez, I'm one of those people that just am not good at reading on the Kindle. I don't really like it that much. I don't know why. I guess I like to hold a book in my hand. It took me a long time to start listening to books, but now I can do that, of course. I'm in my car all day anyways for my job, so that works out. But reading on the Kindle just isn't doing it. I don't know. I've got literally a couple hundred books on my Kindle, and I've read one. I read The Hunger Games on the Kindle. That's it. But suffice it to say, I've got some John Scalzi. I'm going to listen to that and get that done. Well, I'm actually listening to it right now. All right, so I'm listening to that. I just finished Thrawn. We'll talk about that in a moment. So what else did I finish? Well, I did this thing, Impact Winter. I just got done listening to this. It's an Audible original. It's free on Audible if you have a subscription. Pretty much it's just a dystopian, futuristic vampire audio play. It's pretty cool. It's not too long. It was all right. I was listening to a podcast that I listened to, and they suggested this, so I put it on and I listened to it. Not awesome, not horrible. It is kind of cool. It's dystopian. It's after an asteroid hits Earth and thus creates a nuclear winter, and it's dark all the time. So what happens? Well, the vampires now can come out 24/7. And they do, and they start destroying society. People are locked up in bunkers, and there's vampire hunters, and it's pretty cool. You can listen to it. I think if you have an Audible account, it's free on Audible. So I did that. Now, I'm finished the other two books. We'll talk about that after we talk about what I'm going to read next. So I'm going to continue with John Gwynne and Faith in the Fallen. You know that I'm really digging this. The first two books. This is the third in the series, so we'll be getting to that this month. Get that taken care of. I'm also, guys, I'm gonna do it before they are hanged. Joe Abercrombie. This, of course, is book 2 in the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. You all know I really did not like the first book. So the Blade itself just didn't really do it for me. So I actually listened to that. So I'm going to actually read this one, the physical book. Maybe that'll help. We'll see. I don't know. I really want to like it, but I really didn't like the first book at all. What else? So I'm also going to read this, Crooked Kingdom. So I read the first book, Six of Crows, in this duology. I read the first book, Six of Crows, and I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. I haven't read the first 3 novels. I hear it's really YA with a love triangle and stuff like that. I did watch the TV series that they started the first season, and I actually liked it. Even though Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom are a different time period from that first trilogy, they kind of interwove them together in the TV series, and I kind of liked how they did that. So I really have to read this because I really did enjoy the first book, Six of Crows. So I've got to read this. It's just been sitting on my shelf since I finished Six of Crows. So let's do that this month. All right, now what have I finished reading this month? Well, you all know I was doing this. Rick Atkinson. This is The British Are Coming, part 1 of a 3-part trilogy, War for America series. This is Lexington to Princeton, which is 1975 to 1977. Now, there are 776 pages in this book, plus a ton of bibliography and stuff like that. Pictures, maps, all kinds of things. Really cool. It was published in May 14th of 2019. And on Goodreads, it's a 4.44, which is pretty good for Goodreads. I actually gave it a 5. I thought it is freaking awesome. I'm not going to bore you with the Revolutionary War stuff, but there were some tidbits that I thought were really cool. One of the things for sure, reading this and going, he went through the documentation, Benedict Arnold was, at this time, absolutely the best commander we had in the American Revolutionary Army. He saved Canada. They didn't win Canada, but he saved the troops in Canada. He took over Fort Ticonderoga, even though some books give credit to the Green Mountain Boys. The Green Mountain Boys were a bunch of drunkards and just jerks, really. Actually, they did help Benedict Arnold take over Fort Ticonderoga. They immediately found like casks of 90 gallons of claret, and they immediately started drinking it, got drunk, and trashed the fort. Well, Benedict Arnold held on, and in the Battle of Ticonderoga, he saved Fort Ticonderoga. Again, we'll go on probably with Benedict Arnold as we go through the books. Everyone knows what happened with Benedict Arnold, but, I mean, he was a narcissist, he was a jerk, but he was the best commander that we had at this time in the Army. All right, so I finished that. Next, well, last but not least, is Thrawn Ascendancy. This is Greater Good. There's 432 pages in this. It was published in April of 27th of 2021, so a recent book. Goodreads gives it a 4.12, which is pretty darn good, and I gave it a 4. I don't do reviews on Goodbook. I just kind of Goodreads. I'm sorry. I use Goodreads as, just a placekeeper to remind me of the books I've read. I do give it a star rating, but I don't do any reviews on there. So this, Thrawn. Of course, this is the second book in the new Timothy Zahn trilogy. Chaos Rising was the first book, which I read a couple months ago. You all know I really enjoyed that, and I enjoyed this as well. I don't know if it was as good as the first one, but it was in there. It's pretty cool. I do want to say a couple things. First off, let's explain. This takes place right after Chaos Rising, right after the first book. So there's no big time lapses or anything like that. Very much the same characters carry over from the first book into this second novel. And it's just a continuation of the rise, really, of Thrawn within the Ascendancy. There are people in the Ascendancy that want to try to destroy him, but he just keeps getting successes after successes. It just shows how militarily his brain is brilliant, but he's not a good politician, so that's how they're trying to drum him out, but it never works. Anyways, this one, though, is pretty cool because as in the first one, he defeated General Yiv, who was running these, I guess, aliens. Of course, there's many different types of aliens in this universe. The Nickerdun, I don't really know how to say it, but General Yiv was leading them, and what he was doing was kind of taking over little planets, little colonies around the Chiz Ascendancy, and it was, I think, building up to try to, eventually attack the Chiz Ascendancy. Of course, he was taken out by Thrawn, but now what did we find out? Well, we found out that General Yiv wasn't really the leader. There's this mysterious character. They're calling him Jixtus, and you don't really get to see him. Whenever he's in the scenes, he's covered in black. He's got a robe on. He's got a cowl on. He's got a veil across his face. He's got gloves on. You really can't see this character, who he is. So we need to find out who that is. But it seems that he's running this whole thing, and his goal is to try to cause a civil war in the Chiz Ascendancy, because of course they have 9 ruling families, and then there's 40 secondary families below that, and then of course there's families that don't have anything really, any meaning, supposedly, in the Chiz Ascendancy. So Jixtus is trying to drive a wedge between the families in some way. He utilizes this other alien race called the Agbui, and this guy Haplif, who is a member of the Agbui, and they go down to one of the lower families, the 40 families, not the 9, but the 40 families, and he starts trying to get them to see that they can maybe rise their status by providing them with this jewelry. And when they look at the jewelry, they find out that it has this ore. One of the strands of metal in the jewelry has this ore that they need desperately for building warships and to make the metal stronger and things like that. Well, supposedly this Agbui have a mine field on this other planet that nobody knows about, that has found this vein of, Nyx, it's called. And so of course they think, well, man, we can go, well, it's all set up. They're not going to go and take over this mine, but they think they can. Well, they've actually got 3 families to buy into this ruse, and they're all going to go to this planet at the end, and they're going to meet up, and they're going to start fighting each other for the rights to this minefield, and they're going to start a civil war. That's the goal of Jixtus. Well, of course, along the way, other things happen, and Thrawn eventually, defeats this plan. It's very exciting. It's very fun read. Timothy Zahn's great, but really what I want to talk about with this is I'm having some problems with some of the other booktubers. that for one reason or another want to denigrate anything that is the new canon in Star Wars. You see them, they say things like, I would never read any of the new canon novels. I'm only going to read the legends. Well, the legend books, let me talk about the legend books. They're great. There's some great writers in there. Barbara Hambly, Stackpole, of course, Timothy Zahn. You can go on and on. I did a little research. The legends, well, what they consider legends now, anything before 2014 when Disney took over the franchise, any books written before that are considered legends. And I just did a quick calculation, not counting any graphic novels or comic books, but I did try to count all the other published short stories, novels, YA, children's books, anything like that. I came up with, and there may be more, I may be wrong, but I came up with 381 published novels or books or short stories that are considered in the Legends time frame now. I'm not going to say that they aren't good. Out of them, I've read a lot of them. I had a group of friends back in the day that we would read these Legends books and pass them around and talk about them. We really thought it was cool because back then, of course, we had just watched, the first movie, and there wasn't all this stuff now. All the movies, all the TV shows, all the animated series, all the comic books, things like that. We started reading these novels that are now considered legends, and we really thought they were cool. We loved talking about them. A lot of political intrigue in some of them, but some of them were very weak. Some of them were love stories. There was everything. But they did, again, go through everything. All these different races you met, all these different characters you met, and it was good. It was great. Like I said, some were crap, some were decent, some were great. But anyways, in 2014, of course, Disney takes over the franchise, and now they say, well, that's not canon. Only what we've produced, the movies, the TV shows, the animation, the new comic books, any of the new books or short stories or YA, whatever, written since 2014 are now the new canon. And so many booktubers out there just, for some reason, decry the new canon and how horrible it is. Mainly, I think, because they didn't like the last 3 movies, which I necessarily didn't like either. Although I did love Rogue One, and I loved Solo. I thought it was great. But anyways, the new canon, now a lot of people just say is crap and they won't read. Let me tell you something. So far, I did another count. There are over 134 novels, short stories, YA, not counting comics or anything, books written in the new canon. And let me tell you, I've read a lot of them, as you see, and they're great. If you're gonna spoil yourself to the fact that you're not going to read the new canon, maybe because you don't like the last 3 movies, you're full of it. The books are great. They still have the same authors, even Timothy Zahn, right? Claudia Gray. Chuck Wendig. These are great stories. If you're not reading the new canon, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. The new canon is just as good as the Legends. A lot of things are different though. In Legends, Princess Leia has 3 kids, and 2 of them are twins. Well, not in the new canon. So there are a lot of differences. But they are taking a lot of characters from the Legends and weaving them into the new canon slowly, changing it a bit. But it's just as good as the Legends. So please don't listen to these people who say the new canon is crap and you should only be reading Legends. Really, you should read them all, because they're all good. If you love Star Wars, read them all. Okay, I'm getting off my high horse. That's it for the end of the month of May. Looking forward to June. It's already starting to get very hot in Florida, but we'll get through it. All right, people. Thank you for listening to me. Please, if you found anything entertaining at all, please like my videos. Please subscribe. And most of all, leave comments. All right, y'all. Peace out.